This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have the chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1. A man calls a community center to ask about joining a fitness class. First, you have some time to read questions 1 to 6. Now listen and answer question 1 to 6.
Good morning. You've reached the Elmwood Community Centre. Tanya speaking. How can I help?
Hi Tanya, I'm calling to ask about the fitness classes you offer. I'm looking to join something consistent to improve my overall fitness.
Certainly. We've got a range of options depending on your goals. But before we go into that, can I take your full name for the inquiry?
Of course it's Daniel Ricketts. That's spelled Ricketts.
Thanks, Daniel. And is this your first time getting in touch with us?
Yes, first time. A colleague of mine actually recommended your centre. She said the classes were reasonably priced and well organised.
That's great to hear. We do try our best. So, do you know what type of class you're interested in? We currently offer yoga, Pilates, spinning, Zumba, aqua aerobics and circuit training.
I'm thinking circuit training might be a good fit. I want something that combines strength and cardio, and I've heard that format is pretty effective.
Absolutely, circuit training ticks both those boxes. The sessions take place on Monday and Thursday evenings, and each class lasts from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. They're run by Jamie. He's a certified personal trainer and very popular with our members.
That works for me. I usually finish work around 5, so the timing's perfect. Is there a weekend option too?
There is, yes. We run a Saturday morning class that starts at 9:30 a.m, but I should mention it's usually booked out in advance, so we keep a waiting list for that one.
I see. I'll just aim for the weekday ones for now.
No problem. Sure, also, just to let you know, we limit each class to 12 participants to ensure it's not overcrowded and everyone gets attention from the trainer.
That's good to know. I wouldn't enjoy it if the space was packed.
Most people appreciate that. Is there a particular goal you're working toward, like weight loss, endurance, or just general health?
Mostly just general health and fitness. I've been quite inactive over the past year and I'm trying to build a regular routine again. Losing a bit of weight wouldn't hurt either.
Sounds like a great plan. Now, the circuit class is fairly active, but we can modify exercises if you need a slower pace at the beginning.
That's reassuring. I'd probably want to ease into it for the first couple of sessions.
Definitely, Jamie is great at adapting exercises.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Now, before I book you in, I just need to take some basic details. What's the best contact number for you?
It's 07721 598 432.
And your email address?
That's d.ricketts90@gmail.com. All lowercase, no spaces.
Perfect. And finally, your address, please.
Sure, it's 14 Meadowbank Avenue, Hilford. The postcode is HF36QT.
Got it. Are you planning to drive here, or would you take public transport?
I'd probably drive unless the car park is difficult to access.
Not at all. We've got free parking for up to 90 minutes. After that, it's £1 per hour. But for most classes, people are done and out within the free time.
That works. Is there anywhere to lock up a bike too, just in case I feel ambitious?
Yes, we've got secure bike racks by the main entrance. Just bring your own lock.
Excellent.
Also, there's a small locker room inside. You can store your belongings, but you'll need to bring a padlock if you want to use one of the lockers.
Good to know. And how much is the class?
It's £6 per session, or £20 if you book 4 at once.
I'll try one class first and see how it goes.
Of course. Just make sure to arrive by 5:45 p.m. for your first session to complete a short registration form.
Will do.
One last thing. Would you like to receive our monthly fitness newsletter? It includes health tips and discount codes.
Sure, sign me up.
All done. We'll see you on Monday at 6 p.m. then.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Great. Thanks for calling, Daniel.
Thanks again, Tanya. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 2. You will hear an orientation talk for new volunteers at the Woodbridge Community Theatre. First, you have some time to read questions 11 to 15. Listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Woodbridge Community Theatre. I'm Harriet Webb, the volunteer coordinator, and I'm delighted that you've chosen to join us this season. Whether you're helping out behind the scenes or greeting audiences, your support is what makes this place work. Let me begin with a bit of background. The theater was founded in 1984 by a group of drama teachers and local performers who were frustrated by the lack of performance spaces in the area. They converted an old barn into a small 100-seat venue. Over the years, with council grants and community fundraising, we expanded. Today, we have a 250-seat auditorium, rehearsal studios, and a set workshop. The core of what we do is staging performances, of course. Each season, we put on 6 full productions, usually a mix of classic plays, family shows, and new writing. We also host traveling productions and community festivals throughout the year. In fact, we're one of the few small theaters in the region to support original local scripts. Now, about your roles. Volunteers help in many areas. Some of you will be assigned to front-of-house duties, welcoming guests, checking tickets, selling programs, and helping with seating. Others will assist backstage, helping move props, prepare costumes, or manage cues during performances. A few of you may be working in marketing, distributing flyers, managing social media, or assisting with newsletters. One area that gets overlooked but is vital is refreshments. We run a small kiosk during intervals serving drinks and snacks. Last season, we tested several options, offering hot drinks only, then snack boxes, and finally a full drinks bar. The snack boxes were the most successful in terms of revenue and ease of service, so this season we'll stick with those and hot drinks. As for training, you'll all take part in a short orientation this weekend. Those working front of house will attend a fire safety and first aid briefing as well. If you're backstage, we'll give you a separate induction focused on stage equipment and blackout procedures. We're also launching a volunteer reward scheme. Initially, we considered free tickets for friends or a monthly cash voucher, but the most popular idea turned out to be a points system. Each hour you volunteer earns points, and these can be exchanged for tickets, merchandise, or even a voucher for a local cafe.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Before we wrap up, I want to share results from a recent survey we did with our audience members and some longtime volunteers. We asked them about modern trends in live entertainment and how they affect small theaters like ours. First, live streaming. Some theaters now stream their shows online. Our respondents said this was convenient, especially for older or disabled audience members. But they also felt the quality didn't always translate well through a screen. So many were a little let down by the experience. Next, immersive theater. This is where the audience becomes part of the action, often moving around the space or interacting with actors. It's very popular in cities, and our audience felt this is definitely a growing trend. We've even begun experimenting with short immersive scenes during our workshops. We also asked about dynamic ticket pricing. Some large venues charge more or less depending on demand or seating. Our respondents said it's already common practice in concerts and sporting events, but they worried it might make local theater less affordable. So they were cautious about it. Then, we looked at volunteer-managed shows, where the majority of production work is handled by community members rather than professionals. Most agreed it was empowering and led to strong community bonds. However, they also suggested that proper guidance is essential to maintain quality. Finally, mobile phone use in theaters. A hot topic. Almost everyone agreed it's disruptive and breaks the immersion of a live performance. Some even suggested signal blockers. So that's something we'll be addressing more directly this season. Thank you again for volunteering with us. Your enthusiasm and time are what keep Woodbridge Community Theater alive. I look forward to working with you all.
That is the end of the part 2. You have half a minute to check your answers. Part 3. You will hear two students, Nina and Lucas, discussing a group project for their sociology course. First, you now have some time to read questions 21 to 25. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi, Lucas. Thanks for meeting up. We really need to sort out the plan for our sociology group project. It's due in 3 weeks, and we haven't nailed down a direction yet.
Yeah, I agree. I've been going over the list of suggested topics Dr. Chow gave us, and a few stood out. One that caught my eye was the idea of social media's influence on political awareness among young adults.
I actually marked that one too. It's current and super relevant. I think we'd have a lot of material to work with, and the survey angle could be really interesting.
Right. It's something people have a lot of opinions about, so we'd probably get good engagement with the data collection.
Definitely. I was also thinking instead of just focusing on general awareness, maybe we could look at whether people actually act on what they learn online, like voting, signing petitions, or attending events.
Oh, that's a great idea. So not just what they know, but what they do because of it. We could phrase our research question as, to what extent does social media encourage political participation among university students?
Perfect. That makes the scope clearer. Should we limit it to just our campus or include students from other universities?
I'd say keep it local. It's easier logistically, and Dr. Chow said in class that smaller, focused samples are totally acceptable for this assignment.
True. So we'll conduct a survey here on campus. What about the method? Just a questionnaire, or should we include interviews?
I'd say both. The survey will give us quantitative data, and short interviews can give us some depth, like understanding motivations or barriers.
Great! We'll need to keep the interviews brief, maybe 10 minutes each. We don't want people to feel overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And we should aim for a diverse group of participants, different majors, age ranges, and cultural backgrounds.
Good call.
Now, in terms of work division, how do you feel about splitting up the literature review? Sure, I can take articles focusing on political participation, and you could handle the ones about social media behavior.
Deal. Let's aim to each find at least 5 solid academic sources by the weekend. Speaking of the proposal, we need to include our hypothesis. What do you think about something like students who engage regularly with political content on social media are more likely to take real-life action?
That works. It's testable and aligns with our question. Also, Dr. Chow said we should outline our potential limitations. Should we mention response bias?
For sure. Some people might exaggerate how politically active they are just to sound more engaged.
Right. That could affect our data. We should also clarify that correlation doesn't imply causation in our analysis.
Exactly. Okay, this is starting to feel organized. I'll type up the notes from today and share the doc with you tonight.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
So about the presentation format, are we doing slides or a printed report?
Dr. Chow said it has to be a spoken presentation with visual support, so slides are the way to go. Plus, I think a few well-designed graphs will help clarify our data.
Agreed. I'm happy to handle the charts and visuals if you can organize the outline.
Deal. And let's keep it to about 10 slides, one for the intro, a couple for methodology, 3 for results, and the rest for discussion and conclusion.
Perfect. We'll also need to include citations on the final slide. Oh, and we should check the marking rubric. There was something about audience engagement being weighted heavily.
Yes, I remember. We should make the delivery feel like a conversation, not just read bullet points.
Maybe we can pose a question to the audience at the beginning. Something like, how many of you get your political news from Instagram or TikTok? That could get people thinking.
Great idea. It'll set the tone. Also, when do you want to rehearse? I think we need at least 2 practice runs to feel confident.
How about Tuesday and Thursday next week? That gives us time to finalize the slides by Monday.
Sounds good. I'll book a study room in the library so we have a quiet place.
Awesome. One last thing. What about printing handouts?
I think we can skip that unless the professor asks for it. Let's email her just to be sure.
Good call. Okay, I think we're in great shape. Let's get started on our parts tonight and check in on Sunday.
Perfect. I'll message you once I upload my sources. Let's aim to have the first draft of everything by Monday evening.
That is the end of the part 3. Now you have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear a seminar about the history and impact of the printing press. First, you have some time to read questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today's lecture focuses on one of the most transformative inventions in human history, the printing press. We'll explore its origin, evolution, and its wide-ranging impacts on society, from education and religion to science and communication. Let's begin with the historical context. Prior to the invention of the printing press, books were painstakingly hand-copied by scribes, often in monasteries, and this made them incredibly rare and expensive. As a result, literacy was largely restricted to members of the clergy and elite. Knowledge spread slowly, and errors accumulated over time due to manual copying. All that changed in the mid-15th century when Johannes Gutenberg, a German inventor and goldsmith, created the first mechanical movable type printing press. Although printing technologies had existed earlier in parts of Asia, particularly woodblock printing in China, Gutenberg's design allowed for mass production of texts in a way that was both faster and more efficient. His most famous printed work, the Gutenberg Bible, was completed around 1455 and marked the start of the Gutenberg Revolution. One of the most important technical innovations of Gutenberg's press was the use of movable type, which involved individual metal letters that could be rearranged and reused. This was a significant improvement over woodblock printing, which required an entire page to be carved from wood for each unique layout. Additionally, Gutenberg invented an oil-based ink that adhered better to the metal type in paper, ensuring clearer and more durable prints. And now, let's talk about the impact. The printing press revolutionized literacy. As books became cheaper and more widely available, people from different social classes gained access to information. Within just a few decades of its invention, printing presses had spread to cities across Europe, leading to a sharp rise in education levels. This development had far-reaching effects on religion, especially during the Protestant Reformation. Martin Luther, a German monk, used the printing press to disseminate his 95 Theses in 1517. Within weeks, his message had spread across Germany and beyond. The printing press allowed reformers to challenge the authority of the Catholic Church in a way that had never been possible before. Importantly, it enabled the mass printing of the Bible in local languages, breaking the Church's monopoly on religious interpretation and encouraging personal readings of Scripture. Equally transformative was the printing press's role in the advancement of science. For the first time, scientists could publish and share their findings widely. Previously, knowledge was fragmented and often passed down orally or through handwritten manuscripts, which were subject to loss or error. Now, theories, experiments, and observations could be replicated and reviewed by scholars in distant regions. This sharing of knowledge was a key driver of the scientific revolution in the 16th and 17th centuries. Moving on to communication and culture, the printing press laid the foundation for the modern media industry. It paved the way for newspapers, pamphlets, and later novels. For the first time, writers could reach a mass audience and new genres of literature flourished. People were able to form their own opinions, independent of traditional authorities like the church or the monarchy. Of course, the printing press also had economic implications. The printing industry gave rise to new types of employment, printers, typesetters, publishers, and changed the way books were sold and distributed. It also led to the standardization of language. As texts were printed in large numbers, regional dialects began to diminish, and standardized grammar and spelling took root. In many ways, the press contributed to the formation of national identities. However, the rise of printing was not without resistance. Some religious and political authorities feared the spread of unregulated information and responded with censorship. In fact, some governments instituted licensing laws to control what could be printed. Despite these obstacles, the press proved difficult to contain, and underground or illegal printing operations emerged in many regions. Interestingly, the spread of printing also changed the nature of reading itself. In earlier times, reading was often a communal activity, done aloud to groups. The availability of printed books led to a shift towards silent and individual reading, promoting introspection and deeper cognitive engagement. It also encouraged the habit of note-taking, as scholars and students began to interact with texts more actively. The printing press continued to evolve over the centuries. Later developments included the use of steam power in the 19th century, which made printing even faster and cheaper. Today, we've moved into a digital age where information is disseminated electronically, but the basic principle of sharing written knowledge with a broad audience remains a legacy of Gutenberg's original invention. To summarize, the printing press had a monumental impact on education, religion, science, communication, and culture. It made knowledge accessible, challenged traditional hierarchies, and laid the groundwork for many of the freedoms we associate with the modern world. In our next lecture, we'll examine how digital technologies are echoing many of the changes brought about by the printing press, only at an even faster pace.
That is the end of the part 4. You have now 30 seconds to check your answers to part 4. You have now 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet.